Hey guys, it's Steve for CollectorMania. I'm here just doing my first voiceover card alter. As you'll see here, I have two cards to alter, and there'll be two separate videos. So Ankh Mishra and Mikokoro, Center of the Sea. Um, just to kind of get you in my mind space here, I always try and put like two or three cards up that I'm altering at a time. Most of the time, especially if they have like similar colors, I will just block out the backgrounds. As you'll see here, I'm doing the mountains here. Um, just to kind of save time. A lot of this is really just to get as many cards done at a time as I can. I've gotten pretty good at it. I can finish cards that are pretty easy, like in 20 to 30 minutes. Some of the more difficult ones usually take me about an hour, hour and a half, something like that. Um, Picking up tricks like just blocking in all your blacks and your whites or your grays. A lot of people will take like a card like this and put like an entire gray layer around the top and then a black layer on the bottom. I tend to do that as well. It definitely saves you a lot of time, and once again, time is the name of the game here, and we are just trying to do as many cards as we can, because in order to really generate like like an income, I guess you'd say, with this, you really are having to do quite a few at a time. I myself, charge about, I don't know, $25 an hour. I do it by hour, which is kind of funny. Not a lot of people do it that way, but I tend to like it really, especially if I'm doing like custom alters, because then it gets me, in my opinion, a fair rate for the work that I'm doing. So anyway, back to the card here. I am doing a layer of this kind of like mint green just around the top to start bringing up my background color in the sky. It's kind of just a fun trick. I know a lot of people once again like using gray here. I like just going with the closest color that I can get. I find that it saves me time, and that's just the way that I kind of started this. Way back when, I think one of my first cards was a Draining Whelk, so it actually had a lot of these kind of similar effects and colors and stuff like that. So anyway, there's that, and I did realize that I was actually using the wrong color of black here. Well, not color, wrong type of black paint. I grabbed my glossy paint instead of my matte paint, so as you'll see, I'll have to paint that area several times just to get rid of that glossy paint, which was kind of a bummer just because it takes a little bit of time. Also, with most of my cards, I don't like doing too many layers, because that's when you start getting into trouble with like being able to tell which card is which, especially when you're shuffling through the deck. And I've had several of my cards go through judges and not get called before, so it's kind of nice to know that I've developed a technique where the paint's thin enough not to be noticeable. You'll see there, especially with like a bunch of like misty effects, I tend to use my finger just to kind of wipe the paint off a little bit, and it kind of gives like almost like a smoky type of effect, which is nice. It's just something that I picked up over the years. So laying in some more layers of light there, just kind of going through some stuff. Um, as a side note, one of the big things that I always tell people when they start this is to kind of get comfortable with your materials. Like the big thing here for me is like my paintbrushes. I generally use about two or three paintbrushes at a time. I know some people will be like, well, why are you using so few? I just am more comfortable that way. I know that sometimes it can muddy down my colors a little bit, but generally, I have a water cup to kind of, dilute the paint off of the brush and get rid of it, and, usually a paper towel to wipe off as well. So it generally isn't a problem. I have never really had a problem with it, of course, except for in like extreme circumstances. So, and here I am blocking in the rest of the sky, just making it a little bit darker. That way, it kind of brings it to the actual color of the card. I ended up having to add a little bit of blue here. I started with more of like a green-gray, and then realized that there was a little bit of a tinge of blue in there. And that's something that you kind of pick up over the years. Just as a funny addition in the story here for my history, I guess. I actually picked up a lot of these skills when I was working at Gyrie's, matching paint samples and stuff like that. So I learned a lot there, which I am thankful for, really. You would have thought that I would have said like art school or something like that, but no, it was at a paint store, just learning how to mix colors properly and stuff like that. So there are a lot of things like, in particular like skin tones and stuff like that. You learn early on in school that, or at galleries, like I said, that like tones like that, there's actually a lot of different colors in like greens and purples and stuff like that. Stuff that you wouldn't generally think of. So anyway, that's just a little side note, I guess. So here you can see I'm kind of bringing in that light source there, trying to get those rays of light kind of more dialed in. At this point, I kind of actually started panicking a little bit just because it wasn't going as well as I thought it would be going. I thought this card would be super easy, and then it ended up being a little bit more challenging. But sometimes that's just the way these things go. And one thing that I guess I want to bring up with that is that really when you hit a wall like that, you just kind of have to push yourself through and force yourself to, learn from the mistakes that you made and improve upon it. And you really just find that in any aspect of art, but in here while we're doing this in particular, like there are some cards that I just start doing that I'm just like, wait, this is not going to go well, like I'll just run into a wall here or there. But once again, it's just good to push through them and get to learn from them. Sometimes I've done it several times where I've actually had to go buy a second card of the card that I'm altering just to kind of finish it out for the customer. Just start over. And then I'll actually keep the other one and then alter it for myself. Just that way I continue to learn. And I think the more cards that you do, the better that, of course you get. It's just a practice makes perfect kind of thing. And I don't know what my number is up to at this point. I've done, I don't know how many, but I have people that have entire binders of, my card alters, and, makes me feel good, of course. Not to be snobby. So anyway, so bringing up a little bit of lightness in that sky there, just trying to make it look a little bit more correct. As you'll see too in a little bit, I actually go over the top corner of the sky a little bit and try and make it a little bit closer to the actual colors. One thing that I will bring up as well is that you'll see, especially with a lot of these cards that I alter, I will paint into the sky a lot, paint over the sky or most of the card. It's sometimes easier to bring the card to you than you to the card, if that makes any sense. Just by making, I guess, a portion of the card the colors that you think that would be appropriate there instead of trying to match the colors. Because, yeah, I can do that, but sometimes it just takes a lot longer. So, and once again, time is money, essentially. So you want to be doing as many alters as you can. I think this one in particular took me about 50-some minutes, which usually, something like this I would think would take me like 30 minutes. So lost a little bit there, but it's not a big deal, Let's see here. Adding a little bit more blue, of course. And then, Kamigawa, of course, just has some of the most amazing artwork. I love the atmosphere. I love the techniques that were used. It's a little bit, tricky to alter sometimes and, extend, but it definitely has a payoff most of the time, and just some crazy art. Okay, and as you'll see here in a second, I'm laying out that beam of light that's coming off the top of that corner there. A trick that I've picked up actually over the years is you lay a layer of white down, and then over that you take like a diluted yellow or whatever color you're shooting for, because as you can see, there's kind of a golden glow on these rays. In a second here, you'll see me add that on top of that as well. You just dilute some of that yellow paint, and then you put it over that white, and it actually comes out to pretty much perfect there. So just a nice little trick. And there I am painting over that glossy black paint again. Yep, that was a big mistake on my part, but it luckily was a pretty thin layer of paint, so I was able to cover it up pretty handily. As you'll see as well, I started adding some gray and some, I guess, mid-tones to that black, just because it was a little overpowering, just didn't match with the rest of the cards. So anyway, I think we are actually getting close to the end of this video again. You'll see me kind of mess with the sky a little bit, but I just want to take this time really to say, if there's something you guys want to know about, just comment about it and I will try and address it. I'll even bring, cards that have those type of effects or anything that you're actually looking for to alter. That way you guys can kind of learn a little bit more with me about things. So yeah, just make sure to comment about it and we'll work with you and try and get something figured out. I definitely like doing these. I like doing the voiceover especially because, it's kind of impossible for me to sit there and talk for 50 minutes about what I'm doing, especially when I'm trying to concentrate. So let's see here. Trying to gauge how much more time is on the video here. That way I don't over. Oh, we're almost here. So anyway, as always, like, comment, subscribe. Let us. Oh yeah. Visit my face page, of course, if you want to. My face page, my Facebook. I'm mixing all kinds of stuff in together. So anyway, yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you next time. The video will probably run a little bit over, but you guys can watch the finished product. All I'm really doing is signing the card and moving on to the Ankh of Mishra. So catch you guys next time. Thanks.